Welcome to Ancient Geeks, a podcast where two old friends of a certain age talk about the development of geek culture from decades past to the present day. We were geeks before it was chic. I am your co-host, Stephen Taylor, and I am ready to engage in this week's podcast.
And I'm your co-host, Tom Grant, and I think that the only crew worth having is a merry crew.
I am not a merry man. This week on Ancient Geeks, a little something different. We're going to draft fantasy Star Trek crews, the best and the worst. But before we do that, though, Tom, what have you been doing this week in geekery?
Well, I've been catching up on monster movies. I was going through the DVDs, trying to cull some from the collection, and I ran across a DVD that had 4 different movies on it, all monster movies, including The Giant Claw.
Well, there you go.
But all the rest of the movies were better than The Giant Claw, so I watched a couple of those. That's what I've been doing.
I've mentioned before I listened to a podcast called The Greatest Generation, and they've started a rewatch of TNG, and I've listened to a couple of those, and that's been kind of entertaining, especially since we recently did an episode about TNG Season 1, so it's kind of interesting to see what other people have to say.
And who knows, we might do an episode on Season 2, or multiple episodes on Season 2.
I think we might. Excellent. So anyway, today's going to be a little different. So everything is Star Trek themed, including the music. And instead of just choosing a song, let's choose what's your favorite Star Trek show theme, and I'll let you go first.
I think Deep Space Nine. Not just because I love Deep Space Nine above all other Star Trek series, but it just was a great theme.
I concur. So in the spirit of drafting, I can't take that one now. That was on my list as well. But I'll go ahead and take. There are a lot of great themes actually in Star Trek, but I'll take the TNG theme only because it combines the Alexander Courage original Star Trek theme and the movie theme, which I also quite like. So I'll go with that one. It may not be the best theme, but it's nostalgic in various ways, so I'll take that one. All right, then. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to draft our best and worst crews on the following officer categories: Captain, First Officer, Science Officer, Helm, Security, Chief Medical Officer, Chief Engineer, Comms or Communications Officer, and Counselor/Morale Officer. And we're going to take turns going first, and we cannot duplicate one another. And because we're nerds, we're going to use a 20-sided die to determine who gets to go first. Okay. So I'll let you want to pick odd or even. You want me to? You got the big die, so I'll let you roll. So I'll pick odd.
Okay. 14 even.
So you get to go first.
All right. So we're picking captains.
Yep.
I'm going to pick Sisko to continue the Deep Space Nine theme. And my rationale for that is I think Sisko is the most well-rounded captain. So he has a good sense of proportion about what it takes to get the job done. He's willing sometimes to bend the rules, but not necessarily always break them all together the way that Kirk violates.
He can't live with it.
Violates the prime directive of the way some people like brew coffee in the morning. He's a good family man. He's a good father. So he's rooted not just in his job, but also in the people around him who matter. And I don't know. I just like Avery Brooks.
No, that's all good. All
right, that's my pick.
I was happy to go second on this one because it's difficult for me to pick. If I'm picking a crew between Sisko, Kirk, and Picard, these are 3 great captains, right?
Yes.
So you took one off the board for me, which made it a little bit easier. And Sisko is a great selection. He was actually my number 2, but it was hard to determine. Yeah. I'll go with Kirk. Kirk is, of course, the classic prototypical captain. And if you're going to be in the no-win scenario, you want James Kirk in command, right?
Yes.
He's done some good diplomacy. He's done the fighting. He's done the exploring, and has lots of experience. So Kirk is, and again, TOS kid like we both are, but it's hard not to pick James Kirk. Although Jean-Luc Picard's an awfully good captain as well. There are a lot of good captains actually.
Yeah. So I think interestingly, both of these captains had no-win situations that they had to face in their lives.
That's right.
And they didn't handle them the same way necessarily. So I think the Cisco one is in the pale moonlight. He's confronted with a situation where to save the Alpha Quadrant, he has to do something that violates his duties as an officer, the law, his sense of himself, but it seems to be morally necessary for the
Right.
greater good. And there's that wonderful dialogue, sort of monologue at the end of the episode where he says to camera, I can live with my decision,
Yes.
but you're not sure exactly whether he's being honest or not.
Right. That's right.
Anyway,
Or talk himself into it.
yeah, so that's in a
And
sense a no-win situation because whatever he picked, there was going to be some
correct.
horrible consequence for either millions or billions of people or for himself.
That's true. And both Kirk and Cisco had the advantage of never having been turned into a machine of mass destruction the way Picard was.
That's true, right? And if you need to open a can of whoop ass on somebody, I think both Kirk and Cisco
Agreed.
would be your
Agreed.
choices among Star Trek captains.
Agreed. So, who's your worst Star Trek captain?
Burnham,
I figured you'd go with Burnham.
yeah, Burnham just drives me nuts. She should not be in Starfleet after the first couple of episodes of Discovery.
Right.
So,
Now, they didn't handle that whole storyline very well. She was one of my two possibilities. I'm going to go with
yeah.
Archer,
Okay.
especially season 1 through 3, because I've been watching Enterprise. Still haven't quite finished my full watch through. He gets better in season 4, but he's just, I don't know. He just doesn't do it for me. And I like
He
Scott
doesn't,
Bakula fine.
yeah, but he doesn't, for whatever reason, whether it's the direction or the
Yes.
writing, whatever, he doesn't exude intelligence. I mean, at times he just seems kind of thick, which is
Yes, that's
weird
right.
for the captain of a starship.
Not only that, but the captain of the first sort of one of the first, well, the first Warp 5 ship and the first like really going where no man has gone before kind of thing. He just
Yes.
didn't seem to have the character for that,
Yeah.
or the sort of personality for it. To be totally honest.
Yeah, he doesn't seem terribly mentally agile in the face of the unexpected. He just kind of plods his way through situations. I agree with that decision. He was my number two worst, but
Yeah. So
the woman who should have been cashiered from Starfleet and does all kinds of terrible, terrible things in the course of the series and is the nonetheless the most essential person in the cosmos.
yeah, well, the writers messed that up bad. I would say, as I mentioned at some point in the past on the podcast, when I first watched Enterprise, I thought T'Pol was kind of annoying, and then I realized in the second watch through, she was right almost all the time, and Archer didn't listen, which is
Yes.
part of what puts him down the list for me. Okay, so first officer, and I get to go first on this one.
Okay.
So you've fallen. My strategy is played out. I'm going to take Spock, and I'm doing the TOS thing, but my first officer will be Spock, because how can you go wrong with Spock, right?
Right.
He's smart, he's logical, he's a good advisor and counselor, and someone you could take over in case the captain is unavailable, like if he's transphasing into another dimension, you want Spock in charge. So who's your first officer?
Boy, this was a tough one for
Yeah,
me. Yeah. This was one of the harder categories. It came down to Major Kira or
that's a good one.
Riker.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Riker's on my
think,
list too.
yeah, and I think I'm going to choose Major Kira.
Okay.
I think that again, if you need somebody who's going to get the job done no matter what is your XO, I think that's definitely Kira. I think also she spans two civilizations, the Bajorans and the Federation.
Right.
So she's capable of working within many different cultural, legal, political, other contexts. And she's not Spock, and you took Spock. So
Right. There you
that's
go.
another reason to choose Major Kira.
So who's your worst? And I'm gonna, since I get to think out, I get to go first because I don't have a second one.
I don't have a second one
Chakotay.
either. I chose
Chakotay's the worst.
Chakotay too. He's absolutely the worst.
Uh, if you by the rules of the game, then you got to come with another one. So who's and the
So
only other
who's
good
the
one?
one on Discovery? Who's the tall, slender alien played by
Oh,
Doug Jones?
Saru.
Yeah, I get tired of his moments of wisdom. I don't know. There's just
Yeah.
it just
So it was
wasn't that
fine.
interesting. And as an alien,
Right.
one of those things that just doesn't make sense. Like you know that death is coming. How?
Right.
How?
Until you
How?
didn't.
That's a magic power. That's worse than mind reading as a magic power or telekinesis. It's just this weird plot point that makes no sense, and they didn't really do much with it. So why was it even there other than just as a quirk, as a tag, as just some sort of thing to put on the Bible to distinguish him from other
Right.
people?
No,
I
they
don't know.
clearly had an idea that he'd evolved from a herd species, and that was some sort of sensing of danger, but it didn't make sense.
No.
I like Saru fine, but yeah, he was actually the next best, the next best worst. That didn't make sense, but Burnham was also first officer at one point. So, but you've
Yes.
already, she's off the board already. But
She's off the board,
yeah,
yeah. But should we talk about Chakotay?
yeah, let's talk about Chakotay, man. Chakotay, again, I recently rewatched Voyager, and in some ways liked it better the second time, but
Hmm.
I really disliked Chakotay more. He actually was pretty decent. I never watched. He was pretty good in Prodigy.
Okay.
They kind of made the character a little less obnoxious, and he was a captain at that point and more heroic even. But I just found him tiresome and annoying.
Yeah, the efforts to inject Native American
Oh, it was awful.
culture into it was often, you could always, even if it wasn't playing, hear the flute playing in the minds of the writers as
The pan
they
flutes, yeah,
made him into a stereotype. And he was just so bland. He
he was
contributed
bland.
very little as a
He
first
did.
Officer.
Well,
Other people were more consequential, both to
oh,
the
absolutely.
story arc as well as individual challenges that they faced as a crew.
I'd rather have Tuvok in charge. Um, Apparently, the person they hired to be the Native American expert was a fake. That's why some of the stuff was so horrible.
Oh
Um,
man, it was
um,
cringy.
but yeah, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, part of it's the writing, but he was just not
So
good.
I remember that he was supposed to be the head of the Maquis
So
crew
that's also
originally,
part of the
and that was
problem.
completely implausible that someone that boring and unleader-like would
That's right.
be the head of the Maquis
Well,
cell.
one of the things that really did not work on Voyager was this notion that they were going to create this internal tension by having the Maquis crew absorbed by the Federation crew. It never worked. They over time they basically abandoned. They still had it, but they kind of pretended like they didn't. And because in some ways Chakotay was like very by the book and very buttoned down, which didn't make sense considering he was supposed to be a rebel leader of some kind. But
Yeah.
the whole idea of merging those crews just didn't work. And I wish
Well,
they tried it, but
so this is, I think, where you write a Bible and you
hmm
have the character mini biographies in them, and you try to suss out what would be some interesting, distinguishing characteristics of the characters. And this is where I think, and I said this before, maybe doing like a tabletop role playing game or two with those characters. The scenarios would be a typical Voyager plot in this case, and kind of see naturally whether some of these characters work or not. Would have identified immediately that Chakotay was just really a non-entity.
yeah, you'd like to think, but oh well.
Because it's not even easy to see how he would insert himself into a situation much. The way
He
that Tuvok,
just
as a Vulcan and as a security officer, had definite responsibilities. Where
right.
here, like Chakotay just kind of felt like an appendage to
Well, and part of that's
Janeway.
also, I think, part of the problem that was created by TNG to some degree, because Roddenberry wanted, the first officer to be this sort of Kirk-like character, but having Kirk also as on the ship, right? So you get Will Decker invented, who then becomes Will Riker in TNG, while in many of the other shows, the first officer has other duties, right?
Yeah,
And Chakotay didn't really, I don't know what his skill set was. Anyway, and that tattoo was terrible.
he didn't have a
Anyway,
particular set of skills at all.
no.
Yeah, and the tattoo, come on, and no hate on Robert Beltrano, by the way, for that. It's not his
No,
fault.
that wasn't his fault. None of it was his
Yeah.
fault. Um, anyway, okay, so that's first officer. Um, okay, so science officer, you get to go first now.
So is Spock completely off the table
Spock
at
is
this
off the
point?
table now. Yeah. Once
Okay,
picked, off the table.
I'll
That's
choose
why I wanted to
Dax.
go second.
I'll choose Dax.
Okay.
Another
Dax is a good
Deep
one.
Space Nine character, but in her case, I think it's because of her depth of knowledge, for one thing, having lived multiple lifetimes. She seemed more like a scientist than some of the other science officers.
Agreed.
She seemed naturally curious and
Hmm.
exploring scientific questions. And I don't know, just that was my obvious choice.
So yeah, I'll go with Data. Although I
Okay.
don't know if he technically was the science officer, but he kind of was the science
Well, they
officer.
didn't have a science
They were
officer.
terrible on TNG in terms of what their roles were, especially in
Yes.
season one. Um, my wild card was going to be Janeway because she was a science officer before she was captain of the Voyager.
Yeah, true.
But
True.
that's nerd information. Now the hard part is who's the worst science officer?
Oh, to Paul.
Oh, you don't like to ball? Okay,
I don't like T'Pol. I don't like T'Pol. I think that she was a potentially very interesting character. I like the fact that the rest of the crew didn't trust her through much
right.
of the series. So aspects of her character, but as a science officer, she didn't seem particularly imaginative.
Mm,
Yeah, some of the scientific questions that she faced. I mean, like one of those things where like there's no follow up, and that's a problem with Star Trek in general.
right.
That they'll have a scientific problem of the week, but then the solution or the problem don't have much consequence beyond that
Right.
single episode. But I don't know it. So This is where I will criticize the actor.
Okay.
There's something about her that's soporific. Like she would talk and
Hmm.
they'd be trying to talk through some sort of some sort of techno babble. Yeah.
Right.
And there's something about the monotonic, soothing quality of her voice that started to make me feel a little
Sleepy.
fuzzy around the edges of my vision.
So
And other like other scenes too. She was just like she downplayed things a little bit too much. Like Leonard Nimoy was always great at carrying off. Like I'm a person who's trying to suppress my emotion, but I still have
right.
things that peek out, and you're raising
Right.
your eyebrow as sort of the classic way in which she
Was not on
expressed that.
purpose. Yes.
But completely
Yes.
perfect for the moment, where she just didn't have anything going on.
I'm not trying to change your vote. I take
Yeah.
the vote's fine. When's the last time you saw Enterprise?
I actually watched it about a week ago.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, not the whole thing in a week,
I
but
watched one of the episodes with the Andorians,
okay, those are
and they
good
were
ones.
and they were like helping track down the test run of the Xindi weapon.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just so
Yeah,
blah, so very
that's
blah.
fair. Like I said, I rewatched. I've been rewatching over, I don't know, a while now and haven't quite finished. I did, like I said, I found her. I used to find her exactly where you found her. I did find her over rewatching it much better, but it's still not my favorite series. So there's that. And I've got other people that I've got thoughts about who may come up.
Okay,
Okay, so science officer. Now we're the helm,
the helm.
and you get no. Who just went first?
Well, let's
You went.
roll. If we
Well, we
don't
can roll.
know,
We can roll each one if you like. Go ahead.
okay. No, we don't have to roll each one, but let's roll this one since
No,
we lost track of
let's see. No,
who's
let's see.
about.
You went.
So, what did you call?
Oh, I was odds before. I'll do odds again.
It's even again. Sorry,
Okay,
it's
I think it's
12.
That's your turn.
All right, Sulu, especially from the movies. So
Yes.
see, Sulu kind of defined the helmsman,
Yes.
and although there wasn't much done with his character in the TV show, he was a fun presence in the movies.
He was.
He
He
was. I
was.
mean, yeah. So I would definitely choose Sulu. Plus, I think we talk all the time about pioneering representation of minorities. I think
Hmm.
often George Takei gets overlooked for that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So this was actually
Mm.
difficult for me. Sulu was my top choice.
Yeah.
Um, Often, again, TNG, it's unclear who the helmsman is
Yeah.
entirely. And then, well, I'm going to leave that aside for a second as to what I think about the helmsman on Voyager and on Enterprise. And then, then it becomes more of a newer Trek thing. I'll go with Ortegas. I like her fine. Plus, she flies the ship, so why not? She'll be my helms person.
Okay.
Who's your worst?
Travis.
Yeah, you took my worst.
Yeah, sorry,
And
but
that's not his fault. Boy, that
it's
character
not
was
his fault.
underwritten.
Yes.
The
And
most underwritten character in all of Star Trek, I
they
think,
might have
almost.
sussed that out early on. And maybe they
Right,
just felt like they needed a helmsman, even if they didn't have a good idea
right.
about the character. But they never did anything with him.
Mm-mm, no.
Like about the running joke about Kim never getting promoted.
Yes.
It just, Travis never had a personality.
No, he never had a personality. So I'm going to go with Tom Paris as my worst.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Because I actually put him as my number two choice
Okay.
if I didn't get Sulu. So why did you put the hate on Paris?
I have mixed feelings about the character. Um, but overall, I don't know. He just kind of rubs me the wrong way. He's uh,
He's smirky.
he's smirky, and they could never really figure out what they wanted to do with him. Um, he's the bad boy, but then he's kind of not the bad boy. Then he's the bad boy again. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough
Yeah.
choice, and I don't really dislike him because part of me felt bad putting him in that slot, but I couldn't really figure out. Travis Mayward was clearly the worst, and that's. But Tom Paris, I'll pick Tom Paris.
Well, I think that they made the mistake of sanding the edges off a lot of the characters too
Hmm.
early,
Yes.
and they didn't come back. So like to me like an interesting character arc, where the showrunners did the opposite of that was Boyd Crowder on Justified, where
Yes.
he started out as bad, he became sympathetic, then he became bad again. I think that's much more interesting. Like if Seven of Nine had become problematic in a new way, that would have been interesting. But instead, everybody on Voyager had to ultimately wind up at the group hug stage of character development.
Well, yeah, that's right. Okay. So, what's next on the hit parade? Security.
Security, you get first choice on this one.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Tuvok.
Oh, surprise. Okay.
You
Why
think?
Tuvok? Why Tuvok?
Um, I think we'll talk more. This was actually I had several on this one. Oh, I'll wait till see who you pick. I've got a guess, but um, I always found Tuvok to be incredibly competent. I guess I have a pro Vulcan bias too, I suppose. But
Hmm.
I think though that he did a pretty good job at playing detective when he had to. He did a pretty good job at like giving good advice to Janeway, and I just think he was written to be more effective than sometimes some of the other that are on the list could have been, which I'll get to in a second. But who's your pick?
Odo.
Okay, see, Odo was on my list, and Odo's a great pick.
Yeah, so Odo, I think, had a big challenge to face in being the security chief on
A
Deep
goo
Space
person?
Nine. Well, and I thought it wasn't just that he had a superpower that was very helpful if you were
All
the
right.
head of security, but also he all the time thought like the head of security. Like
Yes.
his head was in the game all the time. And it
Yes.
wasn't, I had Worf on the list, but often it was just, Worf had to take care of an intruder on the ship and usually got beaten up by that
Yes.
critter. But just Odo thought and acted like a security professional.
Agreed.
Yeah, so he's the guy I'd want.
I thought Worf was on my list, but by the same token, and to your point, Worf often was there to get beat up to prove that the adversary was tough.
Yes.
He actually wasn't that. I love Worf, but he really wasn't that good at his job.
No, he was
Not.
better. He was better in Deep Space Nine than on
Oh, yeah,
TNG.
totally,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
But then he wasn't security at that point. He was in the command chain at that point.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
So who's your worst? I'm gonna pick. So I get to go first again. Malcolm Reed's my worst.
Yeah, I don't have a number two. That was my choice. He's terrible. I mean, so I
Oh,
think probably, I guess, unfortunately, to make it a controversial choice, I'll choose Worf. I don't even remember who the security chief on Discovery was. Was it that woman who
I
had the
don't
breathing
know.
apparatus?
I don't know.
But
If there was, actually, the one that I put second was Yar.
oh, thank you for that. That's true. She. she always seemed a little out of her depth. And
Yes.
like whoever was presenting the security threat seemed to be a step ahead of her. So yeah, okay, I'll change it to Yar. I'll change it to Yar.
Okay. Yeah. But hmm. Worf is in the running kind of. And again, one of my favorite characters, but just and then one of my wild card was Mirror Sulu.
Oh, definitely, yes. Yes, he needed to get his hormones under control.
That's right.
Okay, so the security chief on the Discovery was D. Nan,
Sure it was.
which once again, that show excelled at coming up with characters whom you have no memory of.
That's
And when they
right.
would show up on camera again, you'd say, "Who's that?" I remember it's the
Hey,
woman with the electronics in her head, but I have no idea who she
yes.
is. I don't know
No,
her
it
name.
was yeah, that they were terrible with the just making the characters memorable.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you get to go first with the chief medical officer.
I'm gonna have to go for the obvious one, McCoy.
Okay.
Dr. McCoy, who I think he wasn't just a chief medical officer. I mean,
Hmm.
as the troika in charge of the ship, he played an important leadership function. Maybe not to other people
Right.
in his management chain, but as playing off on the kind of the balancing act between him and Spock to best advise Kirk.
Mhm. Agreed.
I think that he played an important role there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll go with the doctor from Voyager.
Hmm.
I mean, he's pretty versatile,
Yeah,
building a crew.
yeah. There was
Um,
character development there.
yes, there was. I liked him quite a bit on the rewatch. Actually, Doctor weirdly, Doctor is one of the deeper benches I think in these characters, right? 'Cause
Oh,
I think
definitely,
Phlox is a great
definitely.
character.
Yes,
I could have picked
Bashir.
Phlox. Bashir is a great character. Mabinga, I
Yeah.
like Mabinga in Strange New Worlds. It's a deep bench. How about worst?
Oh, easily, Doctor Crusher, the least convincing doctor of them all, and it's not just because the name still makes me chuckle. Like if you said that your regular GP has left the practice, but now you have Doctor Crusher
Yes,
as your regular doctor. It's like I defy you not to either chuckle or be a little concerned about somebody named Crusher probing your nether regions. But anyway, I would say just also that she not just was unconvincing, but just didn't like play an important part in the crew.
no, it's
Right. So
unfortunately true. I
unlike
agree.
McCoy, right, who was
Right, that's right.
essential
Yes,
to the running of the Enterprise, she's just kind of there to deal with the problem of the week and occasionally complain that her son isn't being treated well, or it just
she got better over time, but yes, but never was all that important. And I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm gonna go with Pulaski as my worst.
yeah, okay, I can see that.
She's
Yeah.
okay. And I watched a couple of season two episodes to prepare for some later podcast, but
But she
yeah,
at least Pulaski had the good sense not to sleep with a ghost.
that's true. Well, she only had one season. She might have if she had the opportunity. You never know.
Because that pops up often.
Sure it does.
But
Okay.
but the thing about Crusher though, there's so many cringy moments like that with her.
No, it's true.
Like the time when she like invents a technology on the fly to create a solar flare when she's in temporary command of the Enterprise. Like, oh, come on.
Okay, so we move on to chief engineer, and I get to go first on this one. I'm gonna take Miles
Yeah.
O'Brien.
Oh, you bastard. Why Miles?
I think because he's demonstrated the most versatility, being able to get DS9 to function properly under all that strain.
Yeah,
That's good skills. And plus, he has all his Starfleet training, and he knows how to stand in a room by himself for long periods of time. And he
he
suffered a
does.
lot.
Yes. Well, he seems the most real as a person, particularly
Yes,
as an engineer.
agreed.
Yeah. And he's a union man.
Sure. There you go.
Okay. I picked Geordi.
Okay.
Geordi seemed excited about being an engineer, not just skilled but also enthusiastic. It was nice to see him get promoted to the
It
position
was.
too.
It was.
and I just a lovable character. So that's why I picked him.
I would have picked Scotty second, but Jordy's on the list.
Yeah, it was hard between them. Again, there's a decent sized bench here. It's
There
not as
is.
good as it is for Doctor, but
It's not as good, but I mean, even if I
yeah.
had to, I didn't mind B'Elanna Torres' character, and I actually didn't mind on the rewatch. I like Trip Tucker more than I did the first time,
Okay. So
but he
who's your
wouldn't be.
worst?
Leland T. Lynch.
That is a deep cut, my friend. That is a very deep cut.
There's a whole string of really terrible one or two off chief engineers in season one of TNG. They just
Yeah.
have to be that, or Lieutenant Commander Sarah McDougal. She was terrible too.
But because like they often had to be told to do their jobs.
Yes.
Yeah, could you just shut up and do your job, please?
Who's
Yeah.
your who's yours?
There we go. There's a spin-off series. The worst engineer in Starfleet. What happened to him later? It'd be like, some sort of fall and rise story. So we get to
Right.
see him just kind of like stumble his way from one failure to another and then eventually kind of discover what he was doing wrong as a chief engineer. I'd
Hmm.
watch that. I would watch that. Okay, well, I picked Balana.
That's fair. Totally fair.
Again, I'm not sure how good an engineer chief engineer she really was. And her outbursts just got tiresome.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you're just kind of saying like, oh, she's half Klingon. At that point, this is sort of meta. We're trying to take seriously these people as
Hmm.
people
Of
in,
course.
in the fiction, but meta, it's like enough with the half somethings.
Well, that's true. They do like
Yeah,
the halves.
the half somethings.
So, okay. So then we go to communications officer. You get to go first on this one.
I'm going to pick Hoshi
Okay.
because all her efforts to translate uh,
Yes.
other cultures' languages, and just in general, her interest in
Hmm.
uh, in other languages, and she was good at her job, so I would pick her.
So, and I have more thoughts about that in a second. I'm going to take Uhura, but the Strange New World version, and that's no shade at Nichelle Nichols, but the the Hoshi character was my second one actually, and I think that the Hoshi character, and then as translated into Uhura and Strange New Worlds, is really what a communication officer should be. They kind of figured it out again. The ability to
Hmm.
translate languages, to do things on the fly, to deal with all these complexities, and not just be the switchboard operator, right?
Yes.
And so that's why I would pick that version of the character
Hmm.
for a similar reason as you picked Hoshi.
Yeah.
Who's the
But
worst communication? Oh, go ahead.
okay, so it is the unmemorable person from Discovery again, whom I had to look up.
Yeah, that's the
Do, do
name.
you do you know the name?
I know it's a dude, right?
Yeah, he has a middle initial,
Is
which
it
would have made
T?
him would have made him stand out in Star Trek because so
Yeah,
few characters have middle
right.
initials. Ronald A. Bryce.
Oh yeah, Bryce. That's right.
He's just kind of standing in the background. He's pulled in for a second to relay some message, but he doesn't have many opportunities to do anything interesting with his job. So we have no idea if he's a master communications officer or someone
Right.
dog paddling his way through the job. That's the worst. How about you?
I so I can't remember now. Did you pick War for anything?
I thought he was off the table, but no, I didn't pick him for communications officer.
I haven't taken it. No, no, I mean for anything. Did you pick him for anything? I can't remember if you picked him for anything.
No.
I did. Okay. I didn't either. So I'm gonna take Worf because
Okay.
he's the one that answered the phone in the Enterprise for reasons I never understood. And
Yeah,
is that
that's
really who you
right.
want?
That's right.
Having frequencies open, sir.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good use
No,
of your
no.
tactical officer or a security officer or whatever his current job description was.
That's right. So that's who I'm going to pick. Either that or I was reaching to be honest because it's hard to find. Bryce is a good one. Um, I also like Lieutenant Palmer. Lieutenant Palmer was like a stand-in for Uhura when the actress wasn't available. That's the best I
Okay.
could do. But I'll go with Worf because I always thought it was weird that he was the one that was like opening hailing frequencies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the our somewhat wild card category, the counselor and or morale officer.
Right.
Um, so my pick um, is Garrick.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, who wouldn't want a plain simple tailor as your morale officer?
Well, and he has the best sense of humor.
Oh, totally.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's really genius. Okay.
So
And
who's
any
yours?
excuse for keeping Garrick around.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
exactly.
Maybe my favorite character of all Star Trek, but this is actually a tough category.
Yeah.
Uh, and not just because there's a dearth of choices, but they're very different choices.
Yes.
So I'm gonna pick Guinan.
Okay, that's a good one. I didn't think about Guinan. She should have
Yeah,
been on my list.
because she plays a very quiet role as
Yes.
morale officer and often gets people to see profound things. Not in that sort of overt sitting with Counselor Troy through the psychoanalysis session way, but a very effective, subtle way in which she played morale officer. Plus, she's not
That's an
telepathic, and you don't have to worry about her being the captain's
invasive.
commissar. Yeah.
No, that was an excellent choice. I really should have thought about Guinan.
Yeah,
I had
Quark would
Quark
be
on my
another
list.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, he
Quark
was on
was
my
another
list.
one. Yeah, but I don't think he was trying to do something
Right. That's
to
right.
in the role of morale officer, official or unofficial.
So
Who's the
worst.
worst? Oh, there's only one choice for this. Come on, seriously, there's no number two.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with Neelix. So there you go.
So I'll pick one. I'll pick Counselor Troy.
Okay, that's fair.
And not just because of the mind reading being something that
Yeah.
would be very off-putting, but or her extreme skill at stating the obvious whenever she had to use her Betazoid powers, but also she just had these very dry, anodyne sorts of observations for people,
Yes. Yes.
and
She
also
actually,
and in that one episode where she's laying into Yar about, well, you're attractive to the headman of this country.
yeah,
Clearly, you want to have sex with him. I mean, that should have been
yeah,
disqualifying right
that's
there.
right. Oh, she was terrible in the first season. Uh, she doesn't do a whole lot of counseling, really. She does a
No.
lot of like, yeah, little advice, pithy advice giving and or observing the obvious.
Yeah, she
That's fair.
occasionally rises to being a good therapist with Barkley.
Yeah, later
Yeah,
she does therapy later.
but
She
she
doesn't really
doesn't
do
do
therapy
anything
with the.
at sort of like a crew level, not an
Mhm.
individual level, other than saying tensions aboard the ship are rising while
Yeah,
we're
that's
being
right.
attacked by the Borg. Well, what do you know?
Yeah, it's a shocker. So my wild cards would have been the chef on Enterprise.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Or if you want to go off board a little bit, walks on a Troy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Kind of knock
Just
people out of their orbits is a
just a
is
little
a
bit.
is a good thing for a counselor or morale officer to do.
All right, so let's review here. So my best crew is I've got Captain Kirk, First Officer Spock, Science Officer Data, Helm Officer Ortegas, Security Officer Tuvok, the Doctor as the Chief Medical Officer, O'Brien as Engineer, Uhura, the Stranger Worlds version, and Garrick is my morale officer. What do you have?
Okay, so I have Captain Cisco, First Officer Kira, Science Officer Dax, Sulu at the helm, Odo for security. I've got McCoy for the doctor, Geordi as the chief engineer, Hoshi as the communications officer, and Guinan as the counselor morale officer.
So in looking at my list here, you can do this too. I just thought about it. So I've got just like I've got two TOS, one TNG, two Voyager, two DS9, and two Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I didn't count them up, but I definitely have an overrepresentation of DS9. And I've got an Enterprise character in there. I've got Hoshi.
You got Hoshi.
Yeah. And a couple of TOS people, McCoy and Sulu.
So my worst crew is Captain Archer and First Officer Chakotay. They'd never get anywhere with those guys in charge. And I realize we skipped this. My worst science officer is Will Decker from TMP.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then my Tom Paris, which is maybe not the best worst, but is my helm. My security is Malcolm Reed. He can't hit the broadside of a barn with a torpedo, so you don't want him to be security officer. Pulaski is my worst doctor. Leland T. Lynch is engineer. Worf is comms, and Neelix is morale officer.
Yeah, I improvised a little bit on a couple of these. So I had worst captain was Burnham. Worst first officer was Chakotay. Science officer was T'Pol. Helm was Travis. Security, we both said Reed. Doctor, Crusher. Chief engineer, B'Elanna. Communications officer, the nameless guy on
Bryce.
Discovery.
That's right.
Oh, that was right. So security was the nameless person from Discovery as well.
Yeah, because I got Reed, you got the security.
Yeah, and then
Disco.
And I did Counselor Troy for the counselor / morale officer.
So yeah, I had one Enterprise, two Enterprise characters, two Voyager characters, TMP character, and then one Voyager and three Voyager, and then three TNG.
I had I think I had a much flatter distribution for this across the series. Anyway, I didn't do a count. Sorry.
No, I was doing on the fly, so that's why. No problem.
Okay.
I won't try to figure out which crew kicked which crew's ass. It's too hard to figure out. And here's
at
that.
What?
I did
at Ambu Jitsu.
At Ambu Jitsu, that's right. So I did not
or baseball.
I did not,
or baseball.
I did not put this on the list, but I should do it now. I'll let you go first. Which ship are you choosing for this crew?
Oh, that's excellent. I wouldn't pick the Defiant, even though it's among my favorites for reasons. It's more of a warship, and it's also tiny compared to the other ones. I probably would pick the Enterprise D.
Okay.
You can do a lot with it.
Yes, you can. I'll take the refit original Enterprise. That's my favorite ship.
That was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah. Yeah. But functionally, I would choose the Enterprise D. Aesthetically, I would choose the Enterprise A.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the D is the more powerful ship.
Mm-hmm.
Aesthetically,
what's the worst?
Choose? No, I'm kidding.
No.
What's the worst?
What's the worst?
Enterprise B. But I don't like the Excelsior class.
I actually like the Excelsior class.
I mean, relatively speaking.
I would probably pick the far future Enterprise, the one with the nacelles.
Oh, the J
floating. Yeah, the J.
Oh no, yeah. You mean in Disco?
Yeah, not the one from the time traveling future, but the one in Disco that has the floating nacelles.
Is there Enterprise in Disco? I don't remember there being an Enterprise.
No, there's not an Enterprise. Whatever that starship.
The Discovery. The Discovery with the floating nacelles.
The Discovery with the floating nacelles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, that was.
You never quite got the
confusing names there, but yeah, the floating nacelles is. I think that you could come up with kind of an interesting pseudoscience explanation for it,
right?
But it doesn't even look good. So
no,
aesthetically it's unattractive, and probably. Fair. It's neck and neck with the original Disco for me too, which I know what they were doing. They were trying to play off the original design of the Enterprise for the motion picture, but
I kind of like the Disco actually. I had certain aspects of the Disco I like, but I do understand the point. I do.
Right.
I mean, there may be some other ships. I was never a huge fan of the I forget what it's called now. It was one of the TNG ships that was kind of like the Reliant version of the D. Mm-hmm. It's kind of compact. They're all fine though. I don't dislike them. I'm just trying to rank them. Anyway, so there we have it. Have it. And as we come to the conclusion here, so there's no merch because how can you have merch unless you want to you want an action figure?
Or we already do have lots of merch.
We do. So the question this week is, okay, this is the wild card category. If you could, and you have to replace them, if you want to replace one of your characters, one of your crew members, with a crew member from another science fiction property, what would it be and who would you replace? For what role?
So this is a tough one because I came up with a long list of characters from other franchises.
Yes.
I really got momentum on that. Okay, so I have two choices from B5, from Babylon 5.
Okay.
And the one I'll choose is Ivanova as first
Okay.
officer.
Okay. So you're kicking out Kira and you're
I'm
taking
kicking out
Ivanova.
Kara for Ivanova. That's hard,
That's
but
a hard one.
I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the two characters.
There
So,
are.
it's not necessarily like it's a downgrade.
And Ivanova is God.
Ivanova is God, right? Yeah, I bet you can guess who my number two from Babylon 5 was.
Actually, take me a minute. I didn't really think about it. So who is it? Do you want to tell me?
Mr. Garibaldi.
That's a good one. Absolutely a good one.
Another person who seemed like a security chief.
Yes, absolutely.
Took the job seriously.
So I'm going to take the doctor and replace Data as my science officer.
Oh, okay. Okay. But that's cheating a little bit, isn't it? Because doesn't the doctor like have orders of magnitude more scientific knowledge than
Of course.
anybody in the Star Trek universe?
You got to do the wild card when you got the opportunity. My second choice was to take Avon as my tactical officer.
Oh, that would be good. I actually think he would be a good first officer. If you want somebody to counterbalance the captain,
yes,
that's the guy. And in fact, I had him on my list, I think, for first officer. Yes, I did.
Well, there we go. Now we have the best and the worst crews in Star Trek history.
That was fun.
It was fun. It is funny though how some of the categories there's a whole lot of characters to choose from, and some they're just a much more narrow set to select from.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how many doctor choices there were.
Yeah, there are a lot of doctor choices
that were pretty decent, and it's also interesting to see that first officer is a position that the writers of different series clearly wrestled with.
That's right.
That it easily could have been somebody who faded into the background and just was kind of like gopher for the captain.
Well, and how different series either have or don't have certain roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no security chief on the first Enterprise.
Yeah.
But then it becomes an important role from there on out on most ships. But then, it kind of swims about a bit. And in some cases, it's even hard to find bad examples. Anyway, it was an interesting exercise in some areas.
Yeah, and for me, what really struck me putting together this list was how often my choice of the best was shaped by how plausibly interested in doing the job the character was.
Yes.
So, like Chief O'Brien, roll up his sleeves,
right,
get the job done, mentor younger engineers on the job, grumble about the lack of resources or how he was getting too many requests from too many people at the same time. He seemed like an engineer. That was brilliant.
Yeah, he was great. He was great. All right then. Well, I think that brings us to a conclusion of yet another episode of Ancient Geeks. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks again. Well, there you go. Decades of strong opinions about the cast of multiple Star Trek series, all expelled in a single episode of Ancient Geeks. Thanks for listening to us. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe, and drop us a line maybe sometime at our email address, someancientgeeks@gmail.com. Also, stop by our Substack where we post daily, and look for us also on Reddit, Facebook, Blue Sky, and other social media outlets. All content is copyright 2026, Tom Grant and Stephen Taylor. Music by Reversed Image, who we can find on Pixabay. See you next time.
Risk is our business. That's what the Starship is all about. That's why we're aboard her.
Because I can live with it. I can live with it.